You're tuned in to Tax Talk DC with the Office of Tax and Revenue. Join us as we offer insights on the city's tax initiatives, share important resources for residents, and get answers to some of your most pressing tax questions. Now, here's your host, Jennifer Valentine.
Hello, and welcome to Tax Talk DC, where we break down the tax topics that matter most to you. I'm your host, Jennifer Valentine, and we've got another great episode lined up for you today. Joining me are two members of the Office of Tax and Revenue's management team and experts in their areas. Real Property Tax Administration Homestead Unit Manager Jocelyn Harris and Customer Service Administration Manager Ornette Mia Schofield. We'll be talking to Jocelyn and Mia about property tax relief programs such as the Homestead, Senior Citizen, Disabled, and Veterans programs, as well as trash credits and Schedule H deductions. We'll uncover what these credits and deductions are, how they work, and how these relief programs can benefit you as a taxpayer. So let's get into it, DC. Hi, Jocelyn. Thanks so much for joining us today to share important information about the district's property tax relief programs. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer.
Wonderful. All right, now before we get into details about these very beneficial relief programs, can you please start by sharing a bit about yourself and your background, and then maybe explain what your current role at OTR entails?
Sure. I've been with the city for about 15 years. During that 15-year tenure, I've supported multiple agencies, CSA, revenue accounting, and now Real Property. Currently with Real Property, I'm serving as the Homestead Unit Manager, which is super exciting. I'm super busy every day. There's always a fire that I have to put out. So that's just a little bit about me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jocelyn, so much for sharing your background and for walking us through your different roles with the district. Now, hearing about your experience and your skill set, I have the perfect task for you today. Without getting too technical, we're going to walk our listeners through a list of property tax relief programs, and we're going to make sure that they understand how they can qualify for, apply for, and benefit from each of them. Now, you're our guide. We're in your hands, so let's get started. Now, can you first explain what a homestead deduction is?
Yes. So the homestead deduction essentially saves property owners $763.73 on their annual real property tax bill. So it just saves them money. It allows them to keep more money in their pockets and pay less in real property taxes. To qualify for the program, and I'll slow down if we were going to touch on this next.
No, by all means, continue.
To qualify for the program, a big criteria that the listeners should know about is domicile. And domicile is just a really fancy word for saying, I live in my property. And the homestead unit does certain like vetting processes to determine who's domiciled. So we're going to look for driver's licenses, voters registration, vehicle registration, tax filings, things of that sort to just ascertain if you are domiciled here in the city.
Okay. That makes sense. Now, in the little bit of research that I did, I saw that there's a specific homestead deduction for veterans. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I certainly can. Thank you. And I will say we do have a couple of targeted programs. So our Veterans Homestead is designed for our veterans population. And that benefit offers property owners a $445,000 reduction in their taxable assessment. So in just layman's terms, if your property is assessed at $300,000 and you qualify for the Veterans Homestead, you could wipe out your real property tax bill completely.
Right.
So it's a very cost savings program.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's talk a little bit more about tax relief for some of the more vulnerable parts of our population, specifically senior citizens and disabled persons.
Yes.
What benefits, credits, or deductions are available to these residents?
Okay, so we have two programs, the Senior Citizens Tax Relief and then the Disabled Tax Relief. Both of these programs offer property owners a 50% reduction in the real property tax. So imagine you pay $3,000 annually. Once you enter into the program, you'll pay $1,500 annually. So it's it's a really big savings. I will say there are criterias for qualifying for the programs. And the main one to qualify for senior is that you're 65 years or older, and there's some income restrictions.
Okay. That makes sense. I think here would be a great place to summarize for the listeners the steps that property owners need to take to qualify for the tax savings that you've shared so far.
Okay. So I will say, I hope this is not the listener's first time hearing about MyTax.
Yeah.
MyTax.dc.gov is a resource. This is where property owners would go to submit their applications for these benefit programs. It's a very user-friendly platform, and this is like the only way, right, to apply for the majority of these benefits.
Understood.
Okay?
Yes. And once I apply, do I have to reapply annually to keep my benefits?
Oh, I love that question. No, you do not. Please, everybody, do not send in duplicate applications. Just one and done. One and done is fine.
Okay. Thank you. That sounds like an easy enough process for taxpayers to follow. So I think we're good there. Now, switching gears a little bit, let's talk about what the trash credit is.
Yes. So the trash credit is also a way that OTR tries to save homeowners money. So what the trash credit does is it offers property owners a $133 benefit on their real property tax bill. And to qualify for that, you just would have to pay for your trash pickup individually. Like, it couldn't be handled by the city.
Right.
So that's like the main criteria for that program. But $133 less you would have to pay in real property taxes.
Absolutely.
Right?
Is that per year or?
Great question. It is per year.
Okay.
And that $133 is split over the halves.
Okay. Very good. That is a nice additional credit for taxpayers who are paying for their own, trash removal services.
Yes.
Now, Jocelyn, I'm going to ask you to capture some key takeaways from what we've discussed so far. Overall, what benefits do all of these programs offer to property owners in DC that they might not be aware of?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I think the major benefit is that it saves property owners money. It's more money that they can keep in their pocket and less that they have to pay to OTR. And I will say, I think that makes home ownership just a little more affordable. So that's like the biggest benefit.
Absolutely. Thanks for pointing that out. I mean, we need to make it clear that you should take advantage of these savings opportunities wherever you can. Now, expanding on that idea a little bit, why else do you think these benefits are crucial for property owners? Meaning, what impact do they have on the community as a whole?
Yeah. So I will say, I think these programs help make DC a more affordable place to live. More specifically, a more affordable place to own a home.
Yeah.
So I think that's like the value of the programs, because it also makes home ownership more accessible. The programs don't, offer 100%, reduction, but it is cost savings. So property owners will see a reduction in how much they have to pay annually.
Yeah, you make another great point, especially considering the current economic and market challenges we're facing. Yes. For anyone who's contemplating purchasing a home in the district, this is definitely something to consider.
Yes, I agree.
Now, again, we want to make sure everyone who is eligible takes advantage of these programs. Are there any common misconceptions about qualifying for these programs that interfere with that goal?
Yes, there are many.
Okay.
There are many. So let's just talk about a few.
All right.
Some property owners believe that you just get the homestead once you, sign your deed and you close on your property. It's not that simple.
Right.
You do have to apply. Right? That's the main part. You have to apply. And then we're also looking for domicile. We want to see that you've settled in the city. So that really is the main misconception. Some property owners just believe, I'm going to get it. I live here. They know I live here.
Right.
No, we don't. We don't know you live here. So
Right.
please submit your application through mytax.dc.gov.
All right. Thank you for pointing that out again. Now, I have a scenario for you. Benefits like the homestead deduction or the senior citizen and disabled tax relief obviously apply from the tax half for which the application is granted, right? But can you, for example, obtain these benefits for previous periods if you qualified at that time? Talk to us about retroactive benefits. Is this even a thing? Are there any retroactive benefits? And if so, how do they work?
Jennifer, this is a common misconception.
Okay.
Retroactive benefits do not exist.
All right.
So again, like you said, you are qualified for benefits at the time that you apply, the half you apply. So if you've been in your house since 1988, you wouldn't be able to come to OTR and say, hey, I want benefits, since I've been in the home. That's just not how the program works, unfortunately.
Okay, and that makes sense, and it's good information to have. Basically, we want to make sure our listeners understand that they need to apply for these programs as soon as they're eligible.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, now speaking about applications and eligibility, that leads me to think about compliance, right? What additional information should property owners keep in mind regarding canceling their benefits and just generally remaining in compliance with the programs to maximize their advantages?
Okay, so canceling benefits is very crucial.
Okay.
Property owners should submit a cancellation application when they move out of their home. If you're moving to another state or moving to another property within DC, we ask that you submit your cancellation application as soon as possible to avoid penalty and interest charges, back taxes, and just more trouble.
Right.
So submit the application timely. And another point that I want to mention about compliance is we do, random checks on properties ever so often. So it's really important that property owners maintain their domicile. Again, a fancy word for I live in my property. So we're going to just want to see proof that you still live in the home.
Okay.
So that's really important to share.
Yeah, it is. It's important that everyone understand the need to stay in compliance. It would be absolutely horrible if your savings were offset by back taxes and bills and fees that could have been avoided, right?
Yes.
So thank you for that information. Now, let's look ahead a little bit. Are there any changes or improvements we can expect from the homestead program in the future?
Yes, we have a few.
All right.
So the first one I want to share is we are working on a website update for our otr.dc.gov website. It's still in the works, but it will make the website more user-friendly. Not to say that it's not user-friendly right now, but it'll just be more user-friendly.
Absolutely.
And something else that we're offering property owners is in the past when a property owner would submit an application, they would have no proof unless they took a copy of that application or CSA gave them a copy. But now when property owners submit their application, they automatically receive an email copy of what they submitted. So they can maintain that and keep that in their records. So that is a new benefit that we're offering to property owners.
That's fantastic. It's always great to innovate and make the site more user-friendly and make these services more easily approachable for taxpayers, right?
Yes.
Now, lastly, where can property owners find more information about these benefits? And what's the best way to reach out with any additional questions?
Okay. I hate to be redundant. mytax.dc.gov is a great resource for property owners or residents in general just wanting to see what OTR has to offer. If taxpayers wanted to reach out to us via phone, we do have a call center that supports us with the Customer Service Administration, and I can share that number with the listeners. The number is 202-727 4TAX. Isn't that cute? The 4TAX stands for 4829.
Fantastic.
So that's how you could reach us.
All right. Jocelyn, thank you so much for sharing that valuable information with our listeners. Hopefully, it will help more eligible residents take advantage of these wonderful benefits. And speaking of wonderful benefits, here with us to talk about yet another tax credit available to district residents is Miss Mia Schofield, who's going to educate us on the Schedule H. Hi, Mia.
Hi, thank you.
Welcome to Tax Talk DC.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Now, we appreciate you joining us to talk about this program, but before we get into it, can you please share with our listeners a bit about your customer service background and maybe provide an overview of your current day-to-day as an OTR Customer Service Administration Manager?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be with you today. So I have 8 years experience in this role, and I work with an amazing team of employees across various business units. It's an honor to service the districts and its residents and their business, income, and real property inquiries. So we are definitely here to serve you. This is a career of choice for me, and I really enjoy my career. I enjoy being a part of this agency and its commitment to customer centricity.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that with
Absolutely.
us. Now, we have certainly tapped the correct resource to help us delve into this topic today, so I'm excited. And I think to do that effectively, we should start by explaining to our listeners what the Schedule H is.
Yeah, simply put, the Schedule H is a homeowner and renter property credit.
That's it. It's a property credit. All right. So based on that definition, as long as I own or rent a residence in the district, I have met the first requirement, that base requirement. Now, what is the residency requirement to receive the Schedule H credit?
Absolutely. So you must be a district resident for the full calendar year to receive the credit.
Okay. So that goes back to that domicile thing we were talking about earlier. All right. So I own or rent a home in D.C. I've lived in it for a full year, so I'm well on my way to getting my credit, right? So to be clear, there are property-related requirements residents must meet to qualify for the Schedule H credit, correct? For example, can this credit be claimed if the residence is part of a public housing dwelling?
Great question. Unfortunately, it cannot. To claim the credit, you must own or rent a home, apartment, room and house, or condominium for the full calendar year.
Okay, so it's good to make that information clear so that there's no confusion. And what about tax return or income requirements? Are there any that will impact my eligibility? Do I have to, for example, file the D40 individual income tax return to file the Schedule H?
So if you're required to file the D40 income tax return, the Schedule H is actually included and should be completed and filed at that time. However, if you are not required to file the D40, you can file the Schedule H as a standalone. Additionally, there are instructions included for your guidance and support. Please utilize those instructions.
Okay. Now, talking about the instruction booklets, I assume this is in reference to both paper forms and online forms?
Yes.
And are you able to file the standalone Schedule H electronically as well?
You can.
Okay.
You can visit mytax.dc.gov to file your standalone Schedule H. Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, that's good to know. Mia, this sounds like another pretty straightforward process with clear eligibility requirements, easy filing options. But before we wrap up, are there any additional details about the Schedule H you'd like our listeners to know? And what would you say are the key takeaways about the Schedule H?
I would share takeaways can include, and please ensure you meet the residency requirement. D40 filers actually have 3 years from the due date to file the Schedule H credit. And please utilize the included instructions. Again, they are amazing and well outlined. And you can also, again, file your standalone Schedule H online by going to the mytax.dc.gov website.
All right. Now, I have questions about Schedule H. Who should I contact and how?
Should you have questions regarding the Schedule H, you can contact our Customer Service Administration at 202-727-4829. You can stop by our awesome walk-in center. We would love to see you, located at 1101 4th Street Southwest. Our hours are Monday through Friday from 9 to 4. And last but not least, please visit mytax.dc.gov.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that detailed information, Mia. Now, Jocelyn, I'm coming back to you. I'm putting you on the spot because we got a little more time to burn.
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm ready.
So now that you've had time to think about what you've shared so far, is there anything that you can share with our listeners about Homestead that would make it easier for them to remember when, where, how to file, and anything that they should avoid?
Yeah, I can. So with the homestead, It's always best to file before a half ends.
Okay.
So we work on what's called like a fiscal year calendar. So the half starts October.
Right.
Right? So it starts in October, ends March, toward the end of March, or at the end of March. So if you wanted to qualify for the homestead benefit for the first half of the tax year, you would want to apply between those months.
Okay.
Same thing from April to September. That's the second half. If you wanted to qualify for benefits for the second half, you would, apply between these months.
Right.
Okay? So that's really, really important for listeners and property owners to know.
Understood. And so before we wrap up, I'd like to ask another question about denials. What are some of the main reasons you deny applications for homestead? And what should listeners look out for when they're submitting their application?
Yes, great question. So we often deny applicants who are new to the city, but let's say they own a property in another jurisdiction like Maryland, and they have homestead on their Maryland property. So that new property owner would not be able to qualify for benefits in the city until they ended the homestead benefit on their Maryland property.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So we do deny often for that dual homestead issue.
Right.
Another reason we deny a lot of applicants is because they haven't established domicile.
Okay.
Right? We don't see any vehicle registration if they're drivers. We don't see a driver's license. We don't see voter's registration or tax filings. And we look for those things specifically. So that could lead to a denial if you haven't established yourself here in the city. Another reason, and it's kind of funny, our senior citizens tax relief is designed for seniors. The age requirement is 65 years or older. You wouldn't believe how many applicants we get who are 64 and a half. It's 65.
Yeah.
Everybody 65 and older. So you would have to at least wait for your 65th birthday and the day after to apply.
Okay.
So that's something that's really, really important. To avoid the denial, just wait the time out.
Right.
And another reason that we often deny applicants is sometimes we'll need to request additional information. Like we have some questions about, what you put on your application.
Okay.
And we'll send a notice to you. We mail our notices.
Okay.
And if you don't respond to that notice timely, that could result in a denial.
Understood.
So please respond to us.
Now, talking
Yes.
about the notices, we talked about My Tax earlier.
Yeah.
Are those notices something that you can see online in My Tax, or are they only paper mailed notices?
Great question. They're only paper mail, but we do have the ability to resend notices. So if a property owner reaches out to customer service and they say, hey, I didn't get this, blah, 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 they can be resent a notice. So yes, we do that quite often.
Okay. And that's at that customer service number. I don't know if you shared that yet. Could you give the listeners that telephone number one more time?
I sure can. It's 202-727-4829.
For tax. Yes, we
Yes.
talked about that earlier.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. Are there any other denial reasons you want to share, or that about sums it up?
You know what? That sums it up. Like, those are our most common denials, but something I will add, like property owners can use My Tax to contact the homestead unit directly. They have the ability to send a message to us. So again, My Tax.
Yes.
It's a resource. So that's just something I wanted to share with the listeners.
Fantastic. And do they have to have an account established to send you a message, or can they just...
Good question. No.
Okay.
To do any real property transaction, you do not have to have an account. There's no login that's required. The only thing you would need to do is either have your square and lot or your property address.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds Easy enough.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for that information. All right, Mia, back to you. Anything else you want to share before we wrap up this episode?
No, I, like Jocelyn have said many times during the session, mytax.dc.gov. It's a great resource.
Yes,
Please,
it
please,
is.
please utilize it.
Absolutely. Okay, ladies, thank you so much for sharing all that detailed information.
Yes.
And with that, we're going to conclude today's episodes. We want to once again extend a heartfelt thank you to our wonderful guests, Ms. Jocelyn Harris and Ms. Mia Schofield, for sharing their knowledge and insights about the property tax relief programs available at OTR. It has been an absolute pleasure having you both on the show, and we truly appreciate your time and your expertise. To our listeners, we hope you enjoyed the conversations as much as we did, and that these tax tips will be of value to you. We're looking forward to bringing you another great episode, and we hope you'll join us next time. Until then, I'm Jennifer Valentine, and thanks for listening to Tax Talk DC.
Thanks for tuning in to Tax Talk DC with your host, Jennifer Valentine. For more information and resources, visit mytax.dc.gov.